One of the top international prospects for the 2025 class, David Mirkovic, has committed to Illinois just a few days ago. So how does he fit with the Illini headed into next season? That's what this video is about. While you're here, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here, if you're into Illini content. If you recognize his face, yes, I do a podcast for the Chicago Cubs, but Illinois is my second love, and that is why I have this channel. So if you're an Illinois fan, subscribe, like, thank you. Anyway, David Mirkovic commits to Illinois just a few days ago. Let's just go through all the things about him, and then we'll go into how he fits with Illinois. Okay. So 6'9", 250 pounds, 19 years old, played for SC Derby, the same professional team in Montenegro that Tomislav Ivisic and newly transferred to Illinois, Zvonimir Ivisic. All right. So I think that there was some form of a relationship. You know, they spread the good word, and you know, word gets around. And also, Illinois is just becoming a Euro factory at this point with Kasparis, Yakashonis, Will Riley, and the Ivisic brothers this past year. I did not see this route ever happening for Illinois basketball in my lifetime, but here we are, and I find it interesting. And honestly, I'm kind of for it, just because there's so many European players coming over to the States nowadays, and you know, there's talent all over the world now. That it's actually incredible considering how it used to be when I was a kid to now, right? So how that, I think that's a good example of, or I think that's a good reasoning to why he came to Illinois. And you know, whatever Illinois coaches and Brad talked to him about his role, everything. But I do think the Ivisic brothers had some play in this, because word of mouth, it is always going to be the number one thing in terms of spreading the good word. You know what I mean? So some of his numbers across 3 leagues this past winter, and competitions as well. He averaged 11.9 points per game, 7.7 rebounds, and 2.1 assists. In 24 games with SC Derby, he averaged 8.8 points and 6.7 rebounds in 23.6 minutes while shooting 46.7% from the field, but only 27.3% from 3. In 3 games in the U19 ABA League Championship, he averaged 23 points, 46% from the field, 42% from the three-point line, 14 rebounds, 4.7 assists, and 3.3 blocks. So the three-point shooting seems like it's a little high or low. Maybe there's a middling ground there, right? During the Adidas Next Generation tournament last season or last year, Murkovich in 4 games averaged 22 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 games. So had a really good showing at that tournament last year. So let's talk about the role. When this news first broke, and I put the short is up on my YouTube channel, same videos up on my TikTok account. When I first saw this news, I was like, is this guy basically replacing Ben Humrichous? I think there's still like Ben Humrichous is in the same situation as Marcus Domask going into last offseason, right? That he's going to need a waiver of sorts or whatever. And we know Brad loves Ben. Brad would go to war for Ben Humrichous based off everything he said about him last year. So whether Ben is here or not, I feel like this guy is replacing Ben or going to be paired with Ben, because I don't think Illinois is going to play both Ivisic brothers at the same time. I think Zvonimir is going to be the center off the bench who could perhaps be your starting center after next season, after Tommy probably goes to the NBA. I will be really surprised if Illinois plays both Ivisic brothers, starts them at least. I could see them playing some minutes together, but not a ton. So I feel like this could be your starting 4 for next year in David Mirkovic. I think Ty Rodgers could also start. And I still don't know what to expect out of Ty Rodgers, from an offensive standpoint after 1 redshirt year. He came back. Is he going to continue to be that, hard hat, lunch pail, get on the floor for every loose ball, bring grit, toughness, leadership on the court as an experienced player, the longest tenured Illini here. Will he be that guy, or will he be that guy with improved shooting? We know how much shooting is important for this Illinois team. They were one of the worst three-point shooting teams in college basketball last year. However, they were top 10 in 3 points attempted. And that's just based off the kind of offense that they want to run. They're not going to change it. You can be mad about Tyler Underwood or not. That's a whole nother conversation to be had. But Illinois has had one of the top offenses in the country each of the last 2 years, if you look at Kim Palm's rankings, okay? So I think Tyler Underwood is going to be here, and they're going to continue to do what they want to do. They want to shoot a lot of threes. They want to get up and down. They want to play fast. So, and based off what they've added so far this offseason, that makes sense that they're not really changing much of the offense. So how does Murkovich fit in this system? When you're just watching the highlights, I see a lot of what they tried to do with Ben Humrichous, whether it's, doing a lot of pick and pops, shooting the three, guards driving kick, he's in the corner. And then even Humrichous did this a little bit of booty ball. Can Murkovich be a little bit more efficient in the booty ball realm of the role? Based off some of the highlights that I watched, sure. Now, I will say there's not a ton on him, so I'm not sure. And 6'9", 250 pounds? Maybe the size is there. Maybe there's a little bit more strength. And watching the highlights, it looks like he's comfortable going down and do that. When I watched Ben Humrichous try and go down and do booty ball last season in the Big Ten, it was, if he made it was like, wow, I can't believe you made it. And if he missed, it's like, I can't believe we took that shot. Ben Humrichous got a bad rap, in my opinion. Like, his story is incredible. Starts from NAIA and gets to Division I, and then is playing in the Big Ten last year. If he's back next year, how much better will he be after a full off season within the Illinois program? I don't know, but I'm basing this off thinking that Humrichous is still going to be here. But I think Humrichous will be coming off the bench. And if he does start, he's not going to be getting a lot of minutes, because I think that Murkovich has a higher ceiling and is just straight up a better player than him. All right. I think he's from what I've read, he's one of the top power forward prospects in this class. On Illini Inquirer, I was reading, he's one of the top international prospects for this class. So, all I know is that he's going to get an opportunity early on. 19 years old. He brings a little bit of what they need in shooting, I think, and he brings some size. And that is what Illinois has been wanting to do with these last handful of years, is bring in shooting and size. Can they be a better shooting team in 2025, 2026? That will be the big question, because based off, as of this recording, the only guy they have really added to this team is Zvonimir Ivisic and now David Mirkovic. I just think Murkovich will be a better player than Ben Humrichous. I think Ben Humrichous, if he's back, he can be a really solid bench player. And I thought he really excelled in that role last year for the Illini. So that's where I'm at on David Mirkovic and how he fits in. I think that his passing ability is probably not talked about enough either. And, we'll see how it works out. But right now I'm looking at a starting lineup of Kylan Boswell, one of, as we sit here right now, Dame Sarr or Will Riley, perhaps Ty Rodgers, or Jake Davis, and then Murkovich and Tomislav Ivisic. I think the front court is pretty set. They still need to get some guards, and I think Jake Davis is more of a bench player still, but I honestly wouldn't mind if he's not playing the 4 spot. Jake Davis as a 3 is a spot up 3. I'd be okay with it, but it depends on who you add. So I know Ian Jackson is in the transfer portal and is kind of linked to Illinois as well. So those, whether it's Will Riley, Dame Sarr, or or Ian Jackson. As of right now of this recording, that's where I feel like it could be, we can really talk about some excitement for this team once we figure out what that's happening. That could happen as early as this weekend with the Nike Pro Summit. So we'll see what happens. But I do think the front court is kind of set for Illinois, and that's exciting. And they have shooting. The only thing, this is my one con about this entire situation, neither Ivisic brothers, quote unquote, defend well on ball, right? And Murkovich isn't exactly known for his defense either. So how would this Illinois team defend in 2025, 2026? Should I just accept that we're not going to be a good defensive team? We're going to try and outscore teams. Kylan Boswell cannot be your only good defender. I do think Ty Rodgers will be a boost defensively as well. But we need another athletic wing / guard who can do a little bit of everything. Once we figure out who that is, maybe my tone will change. This front court, I think the rebounding will be there, but will they defend? That is the big question. So let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button on the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new here, and let me know how you feel about David Mirkovic and his role at Illinois. ILL, my friends.